Pac, Biggie, and Faith, it was like a love triangle, kind of gone bad, you know.
I broke the shit while f***ing Big's wife.
Now I've been told that little Kim thinks she hot.
She not.
Faith Evans has been said to be involved in the murder of Tupac, the famous rival of her ex-husband Biggie, but she didn't do it for her husband. Her reasons were a lot more sinister than that. She plotted his murder in cold blood, and the reason? Her affair. How and why did Faith plot Tupac's murder, and how did she take Diddy's help in her evil plans? Let's find out. Faith Evans and Tupac were involved with each other even after Faith and Biggie's marriage. And to complicate matters further, Biggie and Tupac had a full-blown rivalry. When Biggie found out about the affair, he was furious. He once got so angry he even grabbed her in front of other people, including rapper Gene Deal, who recalled exactly what happened.
He grabbed up crazy, but I don't think it was because I hit him up. I think it was because of the rumors about her and Pop.
Yeah, man, that's crazy, man. So Biggie, he just grabbed her? What was her reaction when he did that, yo?
In a chokehold.
Faith's involvement with Tupac was resulting in a lot of problems for her, so she decided to eliminate Tupac entirely. And after that, she decided to take the help of Sean Puff Diddy Combs, famously known as Diddy. Diddy had ties with local gang members, and after Biggie and Tupac got into an ugly beef, he decided to hire a gang member, Dwayne Keith D. Davis, to carry out the hit. Faith was involved in the murder and had been in contact with Diddy, communicating about the murder. And you wouldn't believe, but Keith D., the gangster involved in all this fiasco, confirmed this himself.
What about Faith? What did she say when she called?
That's who they was mostly communicating with. That's who the bond was. Zip was communicating with.
Keith contacted Diddy and Evans to let them know that they were responsible for the death.
Because Puffy called too, right?
Yeah, him and Biggie's wife. What's her name?
Faith Evans?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Them two calls and everything.
He just asked, was that us?
Who said that?
Puff did. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, Zip told him, yeah.
Faith had conspired with Diddy to murder Tupac, not aware that in just 6 months, Diddy would murder Biggie too. His reasons for murdering Biggie were even more obvious. With Biggie's death, Diddy would be able to make millions off his records as he still had the rights. Maybe Tupac's death was the reason why the relationship between Diddy and Biggie deteriorated. But Biggie had enough of him and his label. Before he could leave, Diddy finished him off. The motive behind Faith's actions are also pretty obvious. After all the public disrespect and dissing that Tupac gave her after their affair must have really stung her. But instead of owning up to her actions, she decided to take matters to another extreme level and team up with Tupac's enemies to murder him. Biggie's reaction to her affair made her angrier at Tupac. Of course, Biggie was angry at the news, but he never wanted to hurt Tupac, even after all this disrespect and the public beef. Detective Kading, who worked on the case, claims that Biggie did not play any part in the murder of Tupac, despite their well-documented rap beef. He says that B.I.G. was not aware of Diddy's plans to kill both Shakur and his manager Suge Knight. In fact, Biggie was devastated that Tupac had passed away, and that too in such a brutal way. Rapper Lil Cease was with him when he heard the news. He recalls,
when Pac did pass, Faith said that she remembered Big calling her, and he was actually crying on the phone.
Yeah, no, he teared up.
Biggie had no idea about the involvement of his own wife in his cold-blooded murder of his former friend. Despite his lack of involvement in the murder, Biggie had to pay the price for it, and that too with his life. Kading talked about the investigation and confirmed, saying, Biggie's murder was a result of a retaliation on Tupac, explains Kading. Suge Knight, a fierce rival of Puffy's, ordered the hit. And just like that, two of the biggest icons in the black music industry and the rap industry, Tupac and Biggie, lost their lives due to one woman. Faith not only murdered Tupac, but also started a bloodshed that took the life of her own husband, Biggie. Well, Faith Evans had always been famous in the whole music industry for not being quite faithful. All the rappers were aware of her reputation and knew she was not to be fallen in love with. Rapper Spice One said the same thing about Faith.
Biggie really liked Faith and you know what I'm saying? But she wasn't the type you just fall in love with like that. And we all see that now. Everybody sees that now. Faith is a player. She's a female player, straight up, with the mind of a.
Faith always had a reputation of being a player, and one of the people she played around with was none other than Tupac.
They wasn't in love and all of that old like that, but that was they period.
For a long time, the two maintained this casual relationship without ever getting serious. But the dynamic changed when Biggie fell in love with Faith. Faith and Biggie got married. Biggie was crazy about Faith and loved her wholeheartedly. But it seems like Faith never really reciprocates his love. At this point, you would think Faith would give up her old ways and at least keep her distance from men in the industry. But turns out that wasn't true at all. Despite the fact that her now husband Biggie and Tupac were on less than friendly terms with each other, Faith decided to get involved with Tupac and make things worse. This rivalry between Biggie and Tupac goes way back. At one point, the two used to be close friends and hung out together. They even encouraged each other musically and gave each other opportunities. At that time, Tupac was a much bigger rapper than Biggie, so he'd call him on stage with him and help him gain exposure. But things changed when Tupac realized Biggie might not be as loyal as he assumed. Pac was doing a great verse for another New York rapper when he was shot 5 times in the lobby and robbed. This happened right at the door of a recording studio, and when he managed to walk into the studio, he found Biggie inside. It seemed like Biggie had set him up. Tupac's attorney also said that it can't have just been a usual robbery, saying, "My instincts tell me that this looks like a setup, smells like a setup, and feels like a setup." The trust between the two rappers was broken, never to be mended again. Tupac, being the hot-headed man that he was, decided the best way to avenge himself was to hurt Biggie.
He felt like, Big had set him up or been disloyal, didn't look out for him as much as he felt he should have.
And what better way to hurt a man than to get with the woman he loves?
He was going to one of his bitches.
Tupac got their photos taken together and intentionally leaked it to the press.
Tupac, rest in peace, turned that picture into the first line of the diss record.
Well, listen, I just recently found out from doing a project for TV that the photographer who took that picture was paid to make sure he got a picture with us in it together.
All of this was an attempt to rile up Biggie, but the worst was yet to come. At another instance, Tupac asked Faith to record a song with him, and instead of turning him down, she agreed. She recorded a song with Tupac knowing fully well that her husband had a rivalry with him.
And he had called you to do a chorus on the song, Wonder Why They Call You.
Yeah, well, I didn't know what song it was until I actually got to the studio.
If the title of the song wasn't bad enough, Faith even went to his hotel room afterwards where he asked her for sexual favors.
You said that you went to Pac's hotel room and, he basically asked for oral sex at that point.
Well, in a very surprising and offensive way, for sure.
All this was planned way before Tupac was out of jail. He even told his girlfriend about the plan. She recalls the incident by saying, "He called me and he was like, 'I did it.' I'm like, 'What you did? What happened? What you did?' And I'm thinking something musically or a role. And he's like, her." The Death Row Records producer, Daryl Harper, also once heard they were together.
Everybody's telling me, Faith Evans back there with Pac. Pac got Faith Evans back there. And I'm like, ain't no way, this Biggie wife.
And to confirm his suspicions, he walked right into the studio. And lo and behold, Faith Evans was still playing around with Tupac.
I go in, and the minute I walk in, to the left, is Pac and Faith sitting and they all up on each other. Now, they on each other's lap, but he all in her business. And she looked like she enjoying the business.
Tupac and Biggie had a very loud and public beef with each other, and Tupac didn't seem to have any respect for Biggie or Faith. In fact, he very openly dissed them both in his rap. It was clear he had no respect or love. All of this was to get back at Biggie. Even though Faith tries to paint it as if she wasn't involved with him at all, her body language really gives her away. It's clear that even after all these years, Faith played around with Tupac and disrespected both her marriage and Biggie. But it's one thing to disrespect your marriage vows and sleep with your husband's enemy, and another to resort to murder to cover up your tracks. The truth was already out. Tupac was already all over the place, telling everyone about he slept with Faith. Instead, he owning up to his actions and fixing her marriage by actually being faithful to Biggie, Faith resorted to murder. People think Faith was the main culprit in Tupac's death. She started a mess that resulted in his murder and then the murder of Notorious B.I.G. A fan commented saying, Faith Evans knew damn well what her linking up with Tupac was going to ignite. Let's tell the truth. After all these years with people confirming Tupac and Faith's relationship and the gangster straight up admitting Faith was involved in the murder, there's no room left for doubt. One person tweeted, Tupac effed Faith Evans out of spite. He tried to get at Lil' Kim, but she paid it so he knew Faith was more vulnerable. These interviews literally corroborated every last rumor we heard. Folks from Death Row and Bad Boy confirming this. Seems like it's too late now to get justice for either Tupac or Biggie. But one thing is for sure, Faith Evans resulted in their downfalls because of her faithlessness and continues to show no remorse for her actions. That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.